Here's something no one talks about enough. Men don't fall in love with age, beauty, or social status. They fall in love with presence. And presence is something that grows stronger with time, not weaker. It's not about being 20 years old again. It's about being the kind of woman who walks into a room and doesn't need to say a word, because the way she carries herself says everything. Welcome to Wise Elders Insight. If you're a woman in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, and you've ever found yourself wondering, do men still notice someone like me? Then this video is for you. The short answer is yes. The longer answer is yes. And not just because you're beautiful, but because of the life you've lived and the wisdom you bring. In today's conversation, we are not going to talk about tricks, trends, or quick fixes. We're going to explore 6 timeless habits that make older women naturally magnetic to men, not for shallow attraction, but for genuine, lasting connection. These 6 habits are rooted in psychology, experience, and emotional intelligence. They're not just about how you look, but about the energy you radiate and the way you show up in the world. So, if you've ever felt invisible or unsure of your place in the dating world today, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear might change the way you see yourself and the way others see you too. Let's get into it. 1. Be unapologetically authentic. Let's start with the most powerful truth. Real attraction begins the moment you stop trying to be someone else. There is nothing more magnetic than a woman who is fully herself, comfortable in her own skin, rooted in her values, and unafraid to show the world exactly who she is. That's what authenticity looks like. And it's not about perfection. It's not about having all the right words or the right look or saying what you think someone wants to hear. It's about being honest. It's about showing up as you are, your whole self, unfiltered and unedited. Now, this isn't always easy. We live in a world that constantly pushes women, especially older women, to tone themselves down, to fit into narrow molds, or to believe that they've somehow aged out of being desirable. But here's what I want you to know. The opposite is true. The life you've lived, the experiences you've had, the stories only you can tell. That's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you captivating. Men who are worth your time are not looking for someone who fits a checklist. They're looking for someone who feels real, someone they can trust, someone who carries herself with quiet confidence and isn't afraid to show her heart. When you stop pretending, you invite others to do the same. That's how connection begins. Maybe your laugh is a little louder than others. Maybe you cry during commercials. Maybe you still love the music you danced to in your 20s. Good. Let it all be seen. The man who's meant for you won't just tolerate those things. He'll be drawn to them. Because what makes you unique is also what makes you unforgettable. Authenticity is not about being bold all the time. It's about being true. It's about honoring your feelings, standing in your truth, and letting go of the pressure to perform. That could mean admitting you're nervous, saying no when something doesn't feel right, or speaking up when something matters to you. It's in those honest moments that your light shines the brightest. There's a quiet strength in women who have lived through real things. That strength speaks louder than any trend or beauty tip ever could. When you walk into a room fully as yourself, you don't have to demand attention. You become the presence people notice. So here's your reminder. You don't need to change who you are to be more attractive. You don't need to fit into someone else's version of who you should be. The woman you are today, exactly as you are, is already more than enough. And the more you lean into that truth, the more magnetic you become. Because confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. 2. Cultivate deep curiosity. Here's something many people overlook when it comes to attraction. It's not just about how interesting you are. It's about how interested you are. When you take a genuine interest in someone, when you show that you care about what they're thinking, feeling, or dreaming about, you instantly become more engaging and more memorable. Real curiosity is one of the most attractive traits a woman can offer, especially later in life when your ability to listen and connect is deeper and more intentional than ever before. Think about it. How often do we go through conversations just waiting for our turn to speak? But when you take the time to truly listen, to ask questions that go beyond small talk, you invite something deeper. You create space for someone to feel seen and valued. That's what builds real emotional intimacy, and that's what makes people remember you long after the conversation is over. Let me be clear. Curiosity doesn't mean interrogating someone or trying to dig up their life story. It means being present, asking questions that reflect a genuine desire to understand who someone really is, not just what they do, but what moves them. What excites them? What keeps them up at night or makes them feel alive? Instead of asking, "How was your day?" try asking, "What was the best moment of your day?" That one small shift changes everything. It invites the other person to reflect, to share something personal. And when they do, it builds trust, quietly, naturally, and powerfully. Curiosity also says something about you. It says you're not self-absorbed. You're open-minded. You care. And that's incredibly attractive, especially to emotionally mature men. Men who are looking for more than just a pretty face. Men who want connection, conversation, and someone who makes them feel safe to open up. Now, if you're someone who's a little shy or unsure what to ask, don't worry. You don't need a list of perfect questions. Just focus on being curious about people, not just topics. Ask about values, dreams, past experiences, and don't be afraid to share your own, too. Vulnerability, when it's mutual, creates an atmosphere of closeness that no physical trait ever could. One of the beautiful gifts that comes with age is emotional depth. You've likely had rich, complicated, beautiful experiences, and those give you a kind of insight that can't be faked. Use that. Let it guide the way you ask questions, the way you listen, the way you hold space for others. At the end of the day, we all want to feel like someone truly sees us. Someone who looks beyond the surface and wants to know what makes us tick. When you become that person, curious, engaged, open-hearted, you don't have to work hard to be attractive. You naturally stand out. So the next time you're in a conversation, slow down, be present, ask the question that goes a little deeper, and listen, not just to respond, but to truly understand. Because in a world full of noise, being a woman who listens with intention is a rare and beautiful thing. 3. Set boundaries with grace. One of the most attractive qualities a woman can carry, especially in her later years, is the ability to set boundaries with grace and clarity. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a door with a lock. And the key? That belongs to you. Too often, women are taught to be accommodating, to go along to keep the peace, to put others first, even when it comes at the cost of their own comfort or values. But here's the truth. Men deeply respect a woman who knows what she wants, what she needs, and what she will no longer tolerate. Setting boundaries doesn't make you difficult. It makes you clear. And clarity is powerful. It tells the world, and any potential partner, that you've done the work, you've learned from your experiences, you know your worth, and you're not afraid to protect your peace. This doesn't mean being cold or guarded. It means being honest. It means being able to say, "That doesn't work for me," without guilt or apology. It means being open to connection, but not at the cost of self-respect. And it means knowing that saying no to what's wrong is actually saying yes to what's right for you. Men who are emotionally grounded are drawn to women who hold strong boundaries because those boundaries communicate strength and self-respect. You become someone they admire, not just someone they're attracted to. Let's talk about what boundaries look like in everyday life. It could be as simple as needing time to yourself without feeling guilty. It could mean choosing not to rush into a relationship before you're ready. It could mean speaking up when something feels off or makes you uncomfortable. Boundaries also protect your emotional energy. They help you recognize red flags faster. They help you avoid getting pulled into relationships where you're doing all the giving and none of the receiving. And they give others a clear sense of how to treat you, because people often rise to the standard you set for yourself. You can set boundaries and still be loving, warm, and kind. The key is to communicate clearly and early. Don't wait until resentment builds up. If something is important to you, say so. If something makes you feel disrespected, say that too. The people who are meant for you won't be pushed away by your honesty. They'll be drawn closer by it. And here's something especially important to remember. Setting boundaries is not just about keeping the wrong people out. It's about making space for the right people to come in and meet you where you are. It's not about being defensive. It's about being discerning. You've earned the right to protect your time, your heart, and your energy. You've earned the right to expect respect. And the beautiful thing is, when you embody that kind of self-assuredness, the right men will notice, and they'll respect you more for it, not less. So if you've ever felt that setting a boundary might scare someone off, remind yourself, anyone who is scared away by your honesty and self-respect was never meant to stay. The woman who knows her limits, communicates with kindness, and honors her own needs, that woman is not only powerful, she is unforgettable. 4. Master the art of a meaningful conversation. There's something deeply magnetic about a woman who knows how to hold a great conversation. Not just small talk, not just polite nodding, but real, soulful, engaging dialogue. The kind that makes time feel like it's standing still. Men are naturally drawn to women who can speak with clarity, presence, and emotional depth. And here's the thing. Meaningful conversation doesn't come from being the smartest person in the room. It comes from being the most present. Being a good conversationalist isn't about having all the answers. It's about listening, really listening, and responding with warmth and sincerity. It's about being curious, not just for the sake of chatting, but because you truly care about what someone is saying. And when you do that, you make the other person feel important. You make them feel understood. And that's what people remember. Think about it. We all want to be heard. We all want to feel like our words matter. When you give someone your full attention, not checking your phone, not thinking about your response while they're still speaking, you create a kind of space that feels safe, even sacred. That's rare, and it's powerful. The beauty of being an older woman is that you already have a lifetime of stories, insight, and experiences. You've lived through challenges. You've overcome things. You've laughed, cried, learned, and grown. That richness adds depth to everything you say, and when shared with the right energy, it draws people in effortlessly. Here's a tip that works every time. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking, "Did you have a good day?" Ask, "What part of your day made you smile?" Instead of, "What do you do for work?" Try, "What do you enjoy most about what you do?" These kinds of questions invite storytelling. They invite reflection. They lead to connection. And don't be afraid to bring your personality into the mix. Humor, vulnerability, passion. These are the spices of great conversation. They show that you're not just talking, you're connecting. One of the most underestimated qualities in attraction is the ability to make someone feel like the most important person in the room. You don't have to dominate the conversation. In fact, it's often the woman who listens deeply, responds thoughtfully, and shares with authenticity who becomes unforgettable. You've likely been in conversations where someone talked at you, not with you. And you've probably had moments where someone made you feel truly seen. The difference is in the energy. When you create a space where someone feels free to be themselves, You become a person they want to return to again and again. So take your time. Let the conversation breathe. Don't rush to fill every silence. Sometimes the pause between words carries more meaning than the words themselves. Speak from your heart. Be curious, but also open. And let your life experience give your words a richness that no textbook ever could. Because when a woman can speak with wisdom, listen with presence, and connect with heart, she doesn't just make conversation, she makes chemistry. 5. Practice deep self-acceptance. There's a kind of beauty that doesn't show up in magazines or in movie roles. It doesn't come from youth or from following trends. It comes from something much deeper. It comes from a woman who has learned to truly accept herself, flaws, strengths, scars, and all. Self-acceptance is one of the most magnetic qualities you can cultivate. When a woman embraces who she is without constantly judging or trying to change herself, she gives off a kind of energy that is impossible to fake. It's calm, it's confident, and it's deeply attractive. You might not hear this often enough, but you do not have to be younger, smaller, quieter, or anything other than who you already are to be worthy of love. You're not a project that needs to be fixed. You're not behind. You're not too much or too little. You're enough. Right now, today, exactly as you are. Many women carry decades of self-criticism. We've been told to compare, to compete, to constantly self-improve. And while growth is beautiful, constant self-rejection is not. Real confidence doesn't come from chasing perfection. It comes from making peace with your own reflection. It comes from standing in the mirror and saying, "This is me, and I love her." Men can feel the difference between a woman who likes herself and one who doesn't. And the truth is, most men are far more drawn to a woman who owns her uniqueness than one who's trying to fit into someone else's version of what's attractive. Self-acceptance doesn't mean you'll never have insecurities. We all do. It simply means you stop letting those insecurities run the show. You stop apologizing for things that don't need to be apologized for. You stop hiding your smile lines, your opinions, your joy. You begin showing up as yourself without asking for permission. Start paying attention to how you speak about yourself. Do you constantly criticize? Do you minimize your accomplishments? Would you say those same things to a close friend? If not, it's time to rewrite the script. Because the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. And don't underestimate the power of celebrating your own growth. Think about what you've overcome. Think about the chapters you've survived, the healing you've done, the strength it took to keep going. That's worth honoring. That's worth loving. Men who are worth your time and heart are looking for women who are real, grounded, and self-aware. Not women who try to be someone they're not, but women who have learned to love the person they've become. So if you've spent years believing that love is only for women who look a certain way or act a certain way, I invite you to let that belief go, right here, right now. Because the most beautiful thing you can offer the world, and any man who walks into your life, is a woman who has already decided to love herself first. 6. Embrace elegant, expressive style. Let's be honest, style isn't just about clothes, it's about presence. It's how you introduce yourself to the world without saying a word. And when done well, it's not only elegant, it's empowering. As we age, the world sometimes tries to make us feel invisible. But here's the truth. Style is your way of saying, I'm still here, I still matter, and I'm going to show up for my life. When a woman dresses with intention, not to impress, but to express, she becomes magnetic. Not because of what she's wearing, but because of how she feels in her own skin. And here's the best part. At this stage in life, you don't dress to chase trends. You dress to honor who you are. You get to choose pieces that reflect your personality, your story, your mood. Whether it's a soft cashmere sweater, a vibrant scarf, or your favorite pair of jeans that just fit right, You're not dressing to follow the crowd. You're dressing to reflect the richness of the life you've lived. Men notice that. A woman who puts care into how she shows up in the world gives off a kind of self-respect that's unmistakable. You don't need to wear bold colors or flashy accessories unless you want to. It's not about being loud, it's about being true. When your outer style matches your inner confidence, you radiate. Here's something to consider. Style isn't just visual, it's emotional. It's how you carry yourself. It's the way you walk into a room, the energy you bring, the way you look someone in the eye. You could be in a simple outfit and still captivate the room if you're wearing it with presence and poise. So, take time to dress in a way that makes you feel good, not for anyone else, not to compete, but because it reminds you that you're worthy of being seen. Even something as small as wearing a favorite necklace or adding a bold lipstick can shift your entire energy. And let's be clear, style should feel joyful, not stressful. You don't need a closet full of expensive pieces, just a few well-chosen items that make you feel confident, comfortable, and completely yourself. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is alignment. How you look, reflecting how you feel. You've earned the right to take up space. You've earned the right to be seen. And your personal style can be a beautiful, quiet celebration of that truth. So whether you lean toward classic elegance, earthy simplicity, or a touch of flair and drama, embrace it. Let your wardrobe reflect your soul. Let it tell the story of a woman who knows who she is and isn't afraid to let the world see her shine. Because when you dress in a way that honors yourself, you don't just attract attention, you attract respect. And that, more than anything, is what real beauty looks like. So let's take a breath together. You've just heard 6 timeless habits that make older women not just attractive, but magnetic. And none of them had anything to do with age, appearance, or pretending to be someone you're not. Because the truth is this: real attraction, lasting connection, and genuine love don't come from trying to compete with youth. They come from standing fully in your wisdom, in your truth, in the woman you've spent a lifetime becoming. Let's recap what we've learned. First, we talked about authenticity, the courage to be exactly who you are without apology. Then, the beauty of curiosity, how asking deeper questions opens the door to meaningful connection. We explored the quiet power of boundaries, how saying no to what drains you makes room for what nourishes you. We moved into conversation, how presence and emotional depth make you unforgettable. Then came self-acceptance, how embracing your whole self becomes a magnet for those who want something real. And finally, the art of style, not for attention, but as a reflection of the richness you carry inside. These habits are not tricks, they're truths. They're not about changing yourself, they're about remembering yourself. And if there's one thing I want you to carry with you when this video ends, it's this: you are not invisible. You are not past your prime. You're not too late for anything. You're wise. You're powerful. You're vibrant. And somewhere out there, there are people, and yes, men, who are searching for the exact kind of presence you bring into a room, not in spite of your age, but because of it. So walk forward knowing this: you don't need to be younger to be seen. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. You only need to be you, fully, freely, unapologetically. And the more you lean into these habits, not to attract someone else, but to honor yourself, the more magnetic you will naturally become. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found value in this conversation, don't forget to subscribe so we can keep growing together. New videos are coming each week, full of wisdom, warmth, and the kind of connection that only gets better with time.